Number 6. 6. And there's something.
Don't
And
worry.
there's something in number 6 that came up that Johnny asked about that I forgot to mention. I didn't forget to mention. I got busy. I apologize for yesterday also. It was a music project I had to help with.
Didn't really mind.
Okay. Okay. Mine too, but we'll keep going. All right. You can go to the nurse if you have to. But Brandon, sit down. Leave it. Too distracting. Okay. Number 6 is h of x equals x plus 8 over x squared minus 64. Okay? What is noticeable about this one is that the bottom is difference of squares. So I can rewrite this as x plus 8 over x plus 8 times x minus 8. And here's, based on everything you know about algebra, you would think at this point that since you have a factor on top and a factor on the bottom that are the same, you can cross them both out, and you'll have 1 over x minus 8, correct?
Yes.
There's a problem with this. Why would you say no, Stephen?
Because
obviously you're trying to find
you wouldn't cross out because you because they're being multiplied. Is that right?
Being multiplied is why you can cross them out.
Well, I just did it for some reason. So.
Okay.
It's because you want us to find something.
It is because I want you to find something.
Oh.
Here's the deal on this, and this is vital, and this will definitely be on the next test. These two things are mostly equal, but they're not equal at one point. Okay? These two things will graph the same thing except for at one point, and that point is at x equals negative 8. This is only equal to this as long as x doesn't equal negative 8, and why do you think that is?
Come on.
Johnny?
Because when you do it for the one that's not simplified,
Uh-huh.
it would make it 0 over 0, and the other one would make it 1 over negative 16.
Excellent. Okay, the other one being 8. All right, here's the problem with this. When I break it down to this point, and hopefully you all notice you have difference of squares and you think to break it down to this point. Let's take a look at this. If I have x plus 8 over x plus 8 times x minus 8. We talked about two cases on Wednesdays. One case we talked about is zeros on the top. If we have a value of x that makes the top 0, that's just an x-intercept, that's not a problem. Okay? If we have a value that makes the bottom 0, that's a vertical asymptote. Still not a problem. That's okay. It's a bit more annoying, but 0 on the bottom, that's undefined. Now, what I didn't discuss is if you have 0 on the top and on the bottom. If x equals negative 8, h of negative 8 equals 0 over 0. What does 0 over 0 equal? Yes, Lauren. Is it directly about this step?
But isn't it x cannot equal 8?
No. X can't equal 8 either, but that's not what I was saying on this one. That's why I was being very careful how I said it a moment ago. This has nothing to do with domain. What I was saying here was 1 over x minus 8 is only equal to x plus 8 over x squared minus 64 as long as you stay away from negative 8. If I have x not equal to 8, I have an asymptote, but that's not a problem. I get the same value here and here.
Okay.
All right? But at negative 8, I have this problem. Here's the problem with 0 over 0. This is important for calculus. I'll be honest, this is not something that will mess you up on a test, but if you get this idea, you're less likely to screw up in the next year and a half in a couple different ways. Here's why 0 over 0 is not a problem. 0 over 5 equals blank. Don't answer this. I don't care about the answer. I care about what this means. Okay? Fraction bar represents what operation? Division. What's the inverse of division?
Multiplication.
Multiplication. So all this can be rewritten as a statement, blank times 5 equals 0. What makes that statement true? 0. So if you stop and think for a minute, a lot of kids mix up 0 and undefined when we're dealing with rational expressions. But if you stop and think for a minute, is a 0 on top at all problematic? No. This is just, it equals 0. Now let's try this idea. 5 over 0 equals blank. This is a restatement of the question, what times 0 can get me 5?
Nothing.
Nothing. There's nothing I can put there that I can multiply by 0 and get 5. In a way, that's not problematic either. It's undefined. We cannot define something that would do that. That's where the word undefined comes from. And we draw a vertical asymptote there for reasons that we go into in more detail later, but if you have a 0 on the bottom, there's nothing that can solve it. You cannot define a solution. It's undefined. Here's the interesting one in my opinion. 0 divided by 0 equals blank. This is a restatement of the concept blank times 0 equals 0. And what can that be?
Anything.
Anything. That's the real problem. I don't know how to graph anything. Let you in a little secret. Your calculator doesn't know how to graph anything either. Who's got get a calculator handy? Take a look at this.
I don't have my calculator with me.
Oh my lord.
Oh, it's right here.
And put your calculator in and put in
I was using it
Y
for homework at home.
equals parentheses x plus 8 division sign parentheses x squared minus 64.
Am I allowed to curse? Or
Wait,
I'd rather you not.
why is
I'm
it?
not going to what's right.
Wait, you don't like us cursing?
I'd rather not want the recorder's on.
Oh, okay. Well,
Personally, it rarely bothers me personally, unless it's offensive
Okay.
or really.
Now what do you want? Graph?
but why doesn't okay? I have one question. Okay, you're gonna tell us that this doesn't work. Okay, anyway, why does that not work? It works in every other like mathematical equation except for graphing. Why?
It's honest to God, it's always true. It is actually always true that this is only equal to this as long as you stay away from -8. We just don't bother to point it out. See, honestly, math teachers get lazy about pointing that out and making you write that every time.
It actually grabs something.
Because it'll grab something, no problem. But we just get, this is the only place where it really trips you up. Okay, excellent. So you got a graph. Now, I want you to hit trace. And then after you hit trace, I want you to hit -8, enter.
Oh,
Go into trace mode, hit -8, enter.
Syntax error.
I got 0.
Oh, wait.
Shouldn't get 0.
Y equals 0.
You shouldn't get y equals
That's
0.
blank is
I
nothing.
may have.
You have y equals nothing. You did it right.
Well, blank.
You got a
It's
blank.
That's what I mean.
That's not the same as nothing. That's not the same as 0. You said 0. That's incorrect.
Okay, y
Y equals 0 is an actual place on the number line. Blank is not. Blank is not. Okay. Oh, you're using use the subtraction sign instead of.
I guess
Oh,
then it
never mind.
skips it, and then
Well, then
Oh,
it grabs
yeah,
something,
right.
but that's about it.
I think I put
And you
it
didn't.
in wrong.
Yeah, you need parentheses too.
Yeah, I forgot.
Okay.
it's like a graph that just skips the negative.
Yeah, it doesn't exist there. If you put this in carefully with your parentheses, did you get it now, Brandon? You got the y equals blank,
I
right?
mean, I got that at first.
Okay, yeah.
I'd say 0.
But yeah, be careful not to say 0 there, because that means something totally different. That is not what that means at all. Steven, you got it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. This has got a couple of different names. The math term I like over here, well, I write actually, x equals -8 is called a removable discontinuity. A removable discontinuity. Why is it a discontinuity? Because Johnny, what did you just describe the graph doing?
It skips it.
It skips it. It's a break in the graph there. Why is it removable? Because you can factor it out and mostly ignore it.
But that's an asymptote.
-8 is not an asymptote, it's a hole. In fact, if we graph this, I'll show you what it looks like. James, follow me over to camera 3.
Because I remember doing this, but I don't remember what it was called.
Buttonhole is the other word people use. I'll show you why. Okay, here's how I'm going to quickly graph this, by the way.
Found it. Okay,
Okay,
sorry.
here's how I'm going to quickly graph this, by the way. I'm not going to graph this like it's, I'm not going to graph this by finding the asymptotes and doing all the steps from before. This looks a lot like 1 over x to me. In fact, the only difference between this and 1 over x is that -8, which means it's a counterintuitive shift to the right.
Yeah, that's what it's
Okay, so now it looks normally, so it looks something like this. That's at -8, right? Okay, so 1,